They have things to do with their mana.
Yep.
That's basically what the deck does. Normally has a Crater Hoof Behemoth in the main deck, but they've opted to move it to the sideboard.
The Crater Hoof Behemoth from the sideboard, Travis and Corbett have both said they are real mad at themselves for having slid that guy into the wrong side of the deck.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I've heard as well. Now I know that you said that Leen's deck, it's a red-green deck, which we haven't seen for a little while. But anything in particular spicy about it?
Beyond the M13 editions, not really. He is running 3 swords in the main, 2 Feast and Famine and a War and Peace. I imagine he'll be quite happy that he went with those Feast and Famines over the full amount of War and Pieces, considering the matchup he's facing right now.
Sure. And these decks typically have Bonfire. Is he loaded up on those?
He has the full amount.
Okay.
With 2 Dismembers to supplement, which I assume have been very good against the Infect in the field.
Okay. Just looking at a deck list, and we haven't seen red-green for a little while, but, looking at a deck that has 4 Bonfires versus a deck that is, all about ramping up, as we see a sort of Feast and Famine from Travis's side, all about ramping up as much as possible to get the Primeval Titan and doing it primarily through mana creatures. Ooh, I like this. I like the reading of the Sword of Feast and Famine, even though it's in his deck.
Leen, who has 2 swords, has just read one, which is a little old-school bluff.
A little spicy bluff.
Yeah.
I like that.
Let me make sure I know what this one does.
Is he holding a red-white sword in his hand? What do these swords do exactly? Draw a card, not a Bonfire.
No. It is a Rancor. Looks like he considered attacking immediately, but noticed that the Rancor might have changed his plans.
Rancor may change a thing or two here.
His mountain is a little awkward.
We have a Land of War? No.
We've got some options here.
Rancor on the bird.
On
okay.
the bird. All right, so Leen has decided we're taking it to the house.
We're going to get on the ground and in the skies in for 4.
I think with this play, he's just trying to make sure he has a way to get in damage, as that sword without an answer to it, which his hand clearly has none. He just wants to race, basically.
Yeah, it really does seem that way. Let's see if Travis is going to opt to equip, as he's going to gain life from Glimmer Post, moving him up to 15. He's going to play his bird pre-combat so that it does untap with the sword. The land's untap with the Sword of Feast and Famine, and then in for 3 with the Avacyn's Pilgrim.
This looks real grim for Leen, actually, because he doesn't know it yet, but trying to race Travis's deck is like a nightmare. It is actually like a life gain deck. He has Primeval Titan for Glimmer Post, he has Thrag Tusk, it is tough.
It's going to be pretty difficult. I think what a lot of these games are going to come down to, Bonfire is going to play a huge role in these games. Like a Miracle Bonfire now for Leen obviously would be pretty backbreaking. It would be for 3. Actually, it would be only for 2. Yeah. Only for 2. So I guess it wouldn't be as backbreaking as it normally would because it wouldn't actually take care of the Pilgrim with the sword on it. But obviously, a Bonfire in green matchups is the best possible thing you can be doing, given the mana.
Leen really wants to hit a 3rd land because that way he can land his Sword of War and Peace and suit it up on a birds eventually, and the Rancor's Trample will just make it incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And that life gain might be enough to offset Travis's advantage.
Yes. Travis is considering his options here. I see another Sword of Feast and Famine in his hand. That's definitely one option. and not a bad option, obviously.
Not a bad one, yeah. They say that you can't have too much of a good thing, but in the case of Sword and Feast and Famines, nope, they're still just right. It's still good.
All right, Elvish Archdruid. So looking at Travis's board, this is, if he untaps and everything goes in a perfect world, he has 6 mana next turn.
Yep.
So if there is a Titan, and we do see a Dismember as Leen's draw step.
That Dismember's taunting him. That Feast and Famine is doing so much work.
Yes.
He may just have to Dismember the Archdruid, although at this point, I might consider not doing that because the 4 life is going to be so costly against that definitely unblockable creature. I suppose we also have to take into account that Leen may not know the opponent he's up against. He might not know a lot about Travis's deck. Maybe he doesn't follow Travis's articles. Maybe he hasn't seen the deck playing in the earlier rounds. He could just be kind of Glimmer Post, Mana Dudes, and Elvish Archdruid, and I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe he's playing Genesis Wave. That Archdruid has to go.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not well kept up with Travis's articles or haven't seen him play this weekend, you really don't have an idea of what he's doing. So
I think that Genesis Wave would be the most reasonable read in that situation.
I would agree with that. As we see an attack for 4 and then a Bird of Paradise in main phase 2, knocking Travis down to 11. Now Travis once again has the options. We know that he has a Sword of Feast and Famine lurking. I'm not quite sure if he has the 5 to play and equip right away.
Yeah. if he could do that, that has to be a pretty attractive option because leaving your opponent on no cards and behind on the board sounds pretty good to me.
All right, there it is.
Yep, that's what Travis is going to go for. And he can't pull off the sweet little township mid-trigger trick this turn, but
yes,
perhaps on a future turn.
Yeah, in a future turn, it definitely could happen, as Leen is going to lose both the cards in his hand, and he's going to take 5 damage, putting him down to 8.
Oh, it looks like Travis did. He may have floated mana between triggers to activate Township during combat. No? I can't tell. It looks like he untapped his lands and then tapped them again.
Sure.
To do that. Yep.
No, you're right.
That is what he did.
Yep. Counter here, counter there.
Get a little value, you know. An interesting thing to note also is that Palladium Mirror, sorry, in Travis Wu's deck provides...
Patrick calls it Soul Ring Guy.
Soul Ring Guy,
there
okay. I prefer Power Stone Dude, but you know. It can actually block sorted creatures, which is kind of a relevant thing when you get in these racing situations. Like, if Leen had a Palladium Mirror, he might not be quite as bad shape.
That's true. As Travis moves his sword in main phase 2...
to the bird.
Yep. Over to the bird, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
Yep.
So of course Bonfire was the most ideal draw, I believe. I'm trying to see if Bonfire would save him. There's only 2 lands.
No, he can only Bonfire for 3,
3,
which doesn't catch either of these creatures.
So it's a good move of the sword by Travis. Makes it so both his guys are going to stay alive.
Very aware of what he's playing around here, which is those damned bonfires.
That's true. What did he draw? We see Huntmaster of the Fells.
That's not going to
by
do
Leen.
it.
It's going to give him, of course, the wolf and 2 more life. And then just an attack with the Strangle Geist, and he passes back. Now, it's pretty important for Travis to actually have a spell to play this turn, because I don't think he can afford to have that Huntmaster flip. I mean, the 2 damage is certainly relevant, but I think the more relevant part is it becoming a 4/4.
Yes.
For this race that we're in.
He can suddenly actually die.
With Leen only at 10 and Travis representing... Yeah, Huntmaster was the perfect draw, because it looked like it was going to be a lethal attack for Travis, and now...
Yeah, he's too shy, exactly.
Yeah, he looks like he's actually too shy.
Travis not pleased to realize that himself.
And I don't believe that Travis has a spell in his hand to play. Because I don't think the turn would be. I don't think he'd be thinking through the turn this much. If he could just, attack, activate Township.
His position is actually still pretty reasonable because he can not attack this turn and then Township to give him the 2 damage he needs and attack on the next turn.
Yes.
So
if he can make it to the next.
Yeah, assuming he can survive, which with 2 of these large pro-green defenders shouldn't be too difficult. So if he doesn't have a spell, I think his play is to just turtle up. He can just block the 2 biggest guys and swing back for lethal. Assuming his opponent does not draw another Huntmaster of the Fells.
Yes.
Travis is going to get aggressive. I just don't see a lot of value in this play is the problem, unless you are playing a spell.
Yeah, it really just does depend on the card that's in his hand.
Yep.
This is going to be an attack for 5 damage with the Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Yep.
It's going to tap his lands. And he's going to pass back.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that case, I don't really like this attack. The only card that you're going to get punished by is another Huntmaster, right? I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure if... Let's see here. So he's going to block there, so 2. Yeah, I mean, he's facing down lethal. No, excuse me. Travis is at... I believe that 9 is correct.
Yeah.
So
he's at 7. Well, yeah, because of the Huntmaster that just triggered.
Okay, so he's not actually dead unless...
He's taking 1, but he could now die to a top deck Bonfire for 1.
Or a Rancor.
Or a Rancor, which, yeah, that's way too many outs to give your opponent. I think we just should have held the Pilgrim.
Or Strangeroot Geist.
Yep, that does do it. Just the old half the deck.
Yeah, right on.
But
right
does it matter?
There. Put you down to 1.
Did something else happen?
I mean, it feels like a concession from Leen.
It actually looked like... I kind of felt like from the body language Travis conceded, but I'm not actually sure. Can we get a clarification on... Travis did win. Okay.
I think Leen came to the conclusion of, I can put you to 1, I can put you to 1. The kind of shoulder shrug of 1 is not none. Why isn't 1 none?
Yeah.
You win. Yeah. A shoulder shrug I've seen many a time. Taking a look at Travis's sideboard for this particular matchup, which I know is not one that he really came here expecting to see. We're going to find, I think the most important card is 3 Wolfir Silverhearts in his sideboard.
Yep.
3 of those are going to be on the board. Great in green mirrors, of course. Typically,
Incredible in green mirrors.
Yeah, typically what happens in a green mirror is the biggest creature wins unless there's a sword of Feast and Famine, or basically a protection from green sword in play. Wolfir Silverheart is going to likely create the 2 largest creatures on the table. And you're also going to find 2 Thragtusk in his sideboard. There is conceivably a reason for him to board in a Crushing Vines, maybe to hedge against swords, possible swords, or Beasts Within, but I predict that he'll just be boarding in his 3 Wolfir Silverhearts, and maybe an additional Thragtusk.
I think that sounds fine. Over on Leen's side of the board, he may go with his Pillar Flames, which are pretty reasonable answers to an early mana dork. They're not actually that great because you're trading just a mana for a mana, and you're kind of behind on tempo since they got to invest first. So I'm not super enthusiastic about them compared to something like Arc Trail, which would be like a slam dunk.
Sure.
He also has Hellrider, which is excellent in the situation he was just in, which is when you're trying to race, and often sometimes your opponent can block, which is really inconvenient.
Yeah.
But you'd like to get value out of that attack anyway, and Hellrider, an excellent way to get value.
Agreed.
I don't know if he would want to bring in the Thragtusk. He already has 2. To be honest, they don't even seem like that important for his strategy. And he has Thrun as a 4-drop to complement his Huntmasters, who has the potential to become one of the bigger, better creatures on the board, but is not really high impact compared to like a Wolfir Silverheart.
Agreed.
Now you get a Wolfir Silverheart and a Thrun.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking business. That's some big game.
Right. And there's also, I know that Leen has a couple Zealous Conscripts in his sideboard somewhere, but outside of taking Primeval Titan,
which he hasn't seen.
Which he actually hasn't seen yet. So yeah, you can conceivably believe that Travis is still just like playing elves.
Yeah.
But he could take Primeval Titan and he could take Wolfir Silverheart to break the Soulbound.
Yeah.
But again, he hasn't seen either one of those cards, so he could still be thinking again, is this guy just playing like some Genesis Wave deck that I just lost to his 2 swords that he happens to have in it? Or is he, is he informed with what Travis plays in his articles and that sort of thing, and knows that he's playing this deck that is basically built around ramping into Primeval Titan as fast as possible?
Yeah, it's really kind of hard to say what he would do without knowing what he knows.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the same thing earlier today where Michael Hetrick was playing against, as we see, Bonfire of the Damned taking care of Travis's Mana Dork. We saw Michael Hetrick play against a gentleman that was playing blue-white midrange, whose draw in game 1 was very reminiscent of a poor Delver draw. Mm-hmm. And so, Hetrick had some options where, if he knows he's playing blue-white midrange, he would have boarded differently. And then I talked to Hetrick after the match, and he was like, I didn't know he was playing blue-white midrange at all, like the entire match. So
this is awkward. It looks like Leen quickly passed after playing his Bonfire and missed playing a land.
Oh.
I can understand the instinct to pass after tapping out for a miracle card because that's what I drew. This is my mana. I'm kind of done.
Yes.
But in this instance, he basically lost any tempo he might have gained with the play he made. The actual decision to Bonfire on turn 2 is kind of an interesting one. Do you agree with it?
For what Travis's deck is trying to accomplish, I don't think so. I think you would just want to let him extend a little bit. The way that Travis's deck is set up, he wants to play, a 1-drop mana, a mana accelerant on turn 1, and then in a perfect world, like 2 mana accelerants on turn 2, or like Palladium Mirror.
Yeah.
And if it is Palladium Mirror, then you can just bonfire for 1 to slow him down. But if it's Elvish Archdruid, but if he goes like 1-drop, 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 then like Bonfire just absolutely obliterates him.
Yeah.
And then it's unlikely that he's going to be able to come back from that with the way that his deck is set up.
Yeah. I agree that the biggest danger you're really facing is Palladium Mirror, which is a card, again, that Leen hasn't seen.
Yes.
But I agree that I would probably be holding the Bonfire in this kind of situation without knowing much more about my opponent's deck, especially when I have enough lands in hand that I know I will eventually be able to Bonfire for a larger number.
Yeah, if Bonfire for 2 is a realistic option for Leen in this game, or it would have been. And we're going to see Palladium Mirror. We can't stop talking about him, so there he is.
He's so adorable. Look at he's like exploring. He's out there.
Yeah, he's just
the
sun in the back of the car. Look at me. I can find anything.
Look at me.
No, I didn't say that because I hate bad puns. There's a reason I didn't say that. As we see a Stranguru Geist get in, Palladium Mirror is untapped, ready for action.
That action could include a sort of Feast and Famine.
This feels like a Zenith to me. Yes.
Nope, that's a Zenith.
Yes,
yep.
sir. The jig is up.
He does have at least one, if not two, sort of Feast and Famines in his hand, so Primeval Titan could get really rowdy next turn.
Yes, as we see 2 Glimmer Close come into play, putting Travis up to 23. And this is the bane for all red-green decks.
Yep.
You know, if a Primeval Titan hits play, it's the biggest creature, it's gaining life, you know, it's doing a ton of things, getting townships, just getting too much value, and there's just no answer for it. Like, there's no Beast Withins or anything like that lurking in Leen's deck. We're going to see Wolfir Silverheart.
That's pretty much the best he's got. He's going to send in 6 here, and he has a sword of his own in his hand, which I imagine will find Wolfir Silverheart on the next turn, so he's going to hope to get in for 6 here and then 10, maybe more if he can do something else. But, hey, we got a little buddy over there, Palladium Mirror.
We do have Palladium Mirror, ready for service, just ready to block.
Under the bus,
That's
so
right.
fast.
He'll bite it for you. He doesn't mind. He's a team player.
Interestingly, I remember in Travis's articles, he pointed out the utility of having Palladium Mirror in the Infect matchup, when his opponent would be forced to Apostle's Blessing green and knock their own rankers off.
He sees every angle.
Sees every angle, right?
I didn't even think about that.
Isn't that cute?
Yes.
Oh, it's so cute.
And there's another Palladium Mirror in Travis's hand, too. Once again,
God,
just reporting
nuts.
for duty. Yeah. Hardly seems fair. So we see a sword, and we're going to see a Palladium Mirror. He's emptying it out for his sword, of course.
Yep. He's going to go ahead and Titan. His opponent resolving the trigger a little early, but...
Likely 2 Glimmer Posts here just to keep his health
I agree with that choice. There's very little reason to do anything else.
And so it's going to put him up to 21.
This is the sort of game where you always want to get the 2 Glimmer Posts because, like, wouldn't it be so embarrassing if you didn't and died somehow?
Yeah.
You just want to, like, crawl into a hole.
Yeah. Like, if only I had a way to gain more life. There's nothing I think I could have done. It's funny. Travis is known for his brews. You know, he the biggest proponent of Living End a couple of years ago. Now, you know, this deck with Palladium Mirror, but people forget that he was kind of the person that originated Glimmer Post in ramp decks.
Yes.
He was the one that kind of championed that, over 6 months ago. And he was the first one playing it, and, you know, it kind of went away for a little bit, and then it came back and just had a huge effect on the metagame.
Speaking of that deck, which ran, I think, like more mirrors and some other nonsense. Corbett Gray, I believe, top-aided a Las Vegas Standard Open playing that deck.
That is correct.
Like over a year ago. So if you want to see what that deck looked like compared to this one, you can find that in our archives from 2011 Las Vegas Standard Open.
I got 9th place in that tournament.
You did. I remember that now.
Corbett Gray beat me in that tournament.
Oh,
yep.
So
no hard feelings.
You also get a little incidental salt in the wound from Cedric.
No hard feelings, I promise. I've moved on. Ish.
Oh, and there's that other sword. I was right. He had 2.
Yeah.
This is what we call everything.
This is a good draw for Travis's deck. And when his deck draws like this, especially against like a red-green deck, there's really nothing they can do about it to come back. His strategy just trumps their strategy. I mean, yes, he has an 8/8 Wolfir Silverheart, and, you know, he has this here sword, this guy, but Palladium Mirror, again, reporting for duty.
Not even dying in combat.
Not even close to scared. Yep. Block.
No, what? No, he's alive,
But why?
dude.
Why would he die?
He's good.
Why would Palladium Mirror die?
He's got more work. I imagine we'll get that.
We gotta get that fixed. Palladium Mirror is too good to die there.
Protection from green is a nifty ability.
Yes, there he is. There he is. There's nothing he won't do for you, Travis. That's why you play him.
Travis is like, this is a lot. I'm gonna attack.
Yeah, sure.
I promise.
Tusk.
And we can Gavany Township before damage, and then after damage, and then after damage again.
Yeah, we can. And who's gonna help us? Who's gonna help us? Gavany Township. Who's gonna provide the mana?
One Palladium here. The other one's gonna do some serious beating.
He's not afraid to attack.
No, he is. He's not afraid of anything.
In matchups like this, I mean, this is just if Travis could pick a matchup to play against, I think this is it. To be honest with you, because outside of like Bonfire of the Damned, like clearing the elves, there's not really a great way for Leen to interact with his opponent. And Leen looks to be, yes, he is going to end up conceding the match. So Travis Wu with his Green Summer Brew takes it down 2-0. Member of the Travis Wu contingent, as Patrick has a cup of coffee in his hand. Member of the